نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله صدق الله العظيم. Respected brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah Almighty states in the Holy Quran, La taqnatu, don't despair of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means that we have to be optimistic about the mercy and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every time. And there shouldn't be any moment in our life in which we should be pessimistic from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So today's topic is also connected with the connectivity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and as the source and the ray of hope that we should have faith in and that should continue to remain a source of inspiration in our life. And what am I going to discuss today is the growing tendencies and the growing rate of suicides in our country. From one statistics, it is explained that in 2023, 50,000 Americans committed suicide. 50,000 Americans committed suicide. So from this record, you can imagine that there may be many people who are not naturalized, who have not become citizens, and they might have also committed suicide, but that does not become the part of the record because of their nationality status. The second thing that we can glean from this is that every 11 minute, an American commits a suicide in which he dies. That's also very important because many times suicides are committed, but they do not result in the death of the person who attempts to do that. Right? So 50,000 deaths of Americans is an alarming state of affairs in American society. In 2024, suicide has been recognized as the 11th contributing factor in deaths. You can imagine, for example, there may be cancer, one of the causes of the death. In the same vein, cirrhosis of liver may be one cause of the death. And in this list, suicide is also the 11th cause of the death in America, according to 2024. Now, out of these statistics, it has also been revealed that 7% of American Muslims, they are most likely to commit suicide in comparison with Christianity and Judaism. Which means what? That 7% Americans would be more interested or would be more inclined or likely to commit suicide in comparison with Catholic Christians and Protestant Christians and the Jews. Which means that the suicidal rate among Muslims is higher than the suicidal rates in Christianity and the suicidal rate in Judaism. Isn't that an alarming sign again? Okay. Now, the question is, what age group among the Muslims is likely to commit suicide? So the age group that has been identified is in between 18 to 24 years. So young youth, and teens. They are more likely to commit suicide. And this aggravates the situation and increases the sensitivity of the situation when we live under the dream that America is a land of opportunities. It is a land where dreams come true. So look, there are two conflicting trends that we are experiencing. On the one hand, people come, live here to realize their dreams on the expectation that it is a land of opportunity. But on the contrary, we also face that the youth in age group between 18 to 24 are more likely to commit suicides. Now the question arises, why is it so? And why is it an increasing tendencies in Islam? Right? So this is the topic of today's discussion. Of course, we know that we do not have good time to discuss it in detail, but I think we can discuss some of the causes and some of the solutions, possible solutions to deal with this problem. This is a growing problem. And if we do not solve this problem, if we do not deal this problem positively and creatively, more likely that we could face some more fatal results of that, which means that there may be more growing tendencies of suicides among the Muslims. And this is a problem that we are supposed to be addressing at. So I would begin with the most important problem is that youngsters, youth, they are likely to develop these tendencies because of the discrimination that they face at the public places, the Islamophobia. There may be an external issues. Internal issues means family conflicts. Cultural issues may be identity crisis. So a child or a teen or a youth may be facing multiple issues at one time. And we should really be aware of that. One thing I say that in public life, they are more likely to face discrimination, right? So we need a good solution to that. They might face Islamophobia. We need a good solution to that. But not just the public phenomena. We also are supposed to look at the family situation. They might be experiencing the parental disagreements, conflicts, divorce situations, one parental issues, etc., etc. We know the rest. Identity crisis, maybe their family may be very, very good, but they are pressurized from one side and they have to face those challenges at school, at public life, in their professional life, etc., etc. So all of these issues must be very clear before us so that we can think about its solution. And I always believe that solutions may be created individually and from situation to situation, because humans are really intelligent beings. So if they think that their kids or their youth are facing some challenges, they can easily draw attention, or they can propose some more solutions. But identifying a problem is more important. So some of the issues that I would like to highlight is a lot of youngsters, as they grow, they feel abandoned. Now, what does it mean by abandoned? They feel that they are not loved, they are not liked by their parents, they are not liked by their society. So a kind of disattachment, a kind of worthlessness, meaninglessness, emptiness that they feel. Okay? So in a family, youngsters may be feeling abandoned. And abandoned means that, for example, their parents might not be happy from their kids, and kids get to know this. If they go to school or college, the school and colleges might be disliking that, right? And they get this idea internalized, and they start feeling that they are the most disliked people on the face of the earth. That's one of the reasons that leads to commit suicide, because they see that they do not have any importance in the sight of the people. That's the cause number one. The cause number two may be an identity crisis, and I have spoken on that a number of times. But the most important challenge is like a conflict that youngsters face when they see that a conflict between freedom and the modesty. How the freedom is understood and how the modesty is understood. If they are unable to resolve this tension, and if they are unable to resolve this conflict between the modesty and the freedom and some other issues too, so they might develop this conflictual relationship, and they might not be able to overcome on this conflicting things. So that may be the second reason why we tend to feel abandoned, we tend to feel empty, and a lot of youngsters go to commit to the extreme act of suicide. Number three, pressures. Youngsters feel more pressures than a mature age or 35 plus or 40 plus people, because they are mature, they are well grounded, they know what kind of the challenges they have to face. So it is more likely that they can deal with the pressures better than the youngsters. So youngsters, as they grow older, so they develop a lot of mechanisms, defense mechanisms to overcome the challenges, psychological, social, economic. But if they are in their early age, so they have to face social pressures, family pressures, as well as the economic pressures. And at the age of 20, at the age of 22, at the age of 24, these are new pressures. They cannot deal. They haven't developed any kind of the mechanism to deal with that. So that may be the third reason that youngsters go and adopt the extreme step of committing suicide. And the most important is in which I and you can contribute and can help overcome is a weaker relationship with the Islamic centers and the masjid. Well, other areas are also very important, and in general, the community must take into consideration all these factors. But where Islamic center can help people and the parents is to develop strong ties between Islamic centers and the kids, right? The weaker the relationship, so the youngsters do not have friends to share things, to listen to them, to give them some importance and significance. As we know that we are living in a society where parents are every time they are busy in their life. And if they learn that, the Gora cannot be a good friend, right? The white person cannot be a good friend. And we try to protect them from the bad influence of the Gora, right? So you need to provide some alternative friends and friendship circles. And if we fail to produce that friendship circle, so there would naturally be an emptiness, and the youngsters feel abandoned. They do not have any thrill in their life. There is nobody to listen to them, their feelings, their emotions, their needs. So there is a complete blockage there, right? So a masjid and Islamic center can create that relationship if parents are willing and they are contributing positively to that, right? So if there is a weak relationship, so we are adding one step further and we are forcing, without saying anything, our youngsters to commit suicide because they do not find any channel through which they can channelize their energies, they can show their expression, and where they can feel some importance in the sight of the people. And I think on this end, I should end. And with the only one solution, I have a couple of other solutions, but I think I would not spend more time on that. The only thing is, listen to the youngsters without any judgments. The parents must do that. The Islamic centers must do that. The friends must do that. The siblings must do that. Listen to your youngsters. Whatever the age they are coming from, whatever gender they are coming from, whoever they are, listen to them. And the bad thing that we have developed over the decades and in our upbringing is we don't listen to people. We make them listen. Right? आप कभी हमने बेहसियत एक मुआशरे की कभी ये खासियत डेवलप नहीं की है कि हम किसी को सुने. हमेशा हमारी कोशिश होती है हमारी सुनी जाए. और वो यंगस्टर्स जो कि एक साइकोलॉजिकल, एक इमोशनल क्राइसिस से गुजर रहा है और उसका शायद इजहार भी वो नहीं कर पा रहा है, अगर आप उसको नहीं सुनोगे, things would turn into worse situations and affairs. सही है? तो सुनिए तवज्जो के साथ, मोहब्बत के साथ. There is only one solution possible. Listen to the youngsters. Listen to them with attention and listen to them with love. That's the only solution.